And it's like when I asked what accessibility was, you said that it was. So you cannot really trust somebody's word. You have to go in and do the tours yourself.
It's sitting pretty, baby.
What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another message to my loves. Okay, this one comes from Brandy Candy. Hey, boo. And it says, hey, Lolo. How long did it take you to find your own apartment? Very great question. As I talked about earlier this month about having financial independence, finding an apartment and a place to stay is absolutely crucial when it comes to living independently as a person with a disability. So when I first moved to the Los Angeles area, I moved with my sister at the time, and collectively we were able to find a space that was nearby the college that I was going to at the time and was accessible, because that was the absolute key. And since she was there to help me for my caregiving needs at the time, it was something that was able to find a place pretty simply. And I think the benefit of that too was that I was living in off-campus housing for the university that I was attending. So I think naturally the building would have had to be a certain level of accessibility, because the expectation is that it would be full of the students that go to the university right across the street. Now, once it was time to leave there and find my own place outside of the neighborhood, outside of the college campus, that's when it started to become a little more challenging, because what I had quickly learned was that a lot of apartment buildings out here in Los Angeles were not accessible at all. It may be like accessible to get into the building, but in order to get to the units, it wasn't accessible. Or technically, if you were able to get to the units, you couldn't get inside of the building. So it made it a lot more challenging, which then took a lot more time trying to find an apartment. And then when you're trying to find something that's within a particular budget, that makes it even more challenging, because a lot of the older buildings, which would have something that was a lot more affordable for LA standards, was not accessible because they were older buildings. So unfortunately, a lot of those would not have had any ADA compliance applied to the building of their apartment building. Finding an apartment within a particular budget within the Los Angeles area that also was in an area where I can move around independently, meaning I could go to a grocery store or a drugstore or restaurants or bars nearby, made it even more challenging trying to find that sweet spot of being able to find a place that was affordable based on my income at the time, and also was in an area that I felt safe enough to ride around independently and be able to shop and do some fun kind of extracurricular thing. It could take a few months to find the perfect place. A lot of apartments in LA that are available for move-ins are not advertising online. So you have to kind of go out into the neighborhoods and drive down this street, pull over, write down the phone number, or call the building on the spot and do that kind of investigation as well. It can take a while. What I will say is that, of course, naturally, if you have a bigger budget to live somewhere, it is much easier to find accessible housing. They do have programs out here for people with disabilities and those that are on a fixed income to be able to qualify for an apartment in some of the newer buildings. But of course, the waiting list is super duper long, and the qualifications are worse than trying to apply to a job at the freaking FBI or something. That comes with its challenges as well. However, I do know it's possible. I do know a lot of people who have been able to find affordable housing within the newer buildings that do exist, but it was not an easy task to make happen. If you are looking for an apartment, to just know that it's going to take time. You have to have patience, and you will most likely need some level of assistance with someone either driving you around neighborhood to neighborhood, or someone just accompanying you, oh Lord, here we go with that word, accompanying. It's accompanying. How do you say that word?
Accompanying.
Here we go with that word again. Accompanying. Nick.
Accompanying.
Accompanying. There we go. You're going to need some help with someone accompanying you on all of the different tours that you would need to go on. And that's the most important thing too, is you have to go on the in-person tours when trying to find an apartment. Because if you ask, oh, is it accessible? And they tell you, yeah, it may be accessible to what they think is accessible. You may be able to get into the unit, but then the bathroom is super small and you can't get around in the bathroom. Or you may be able to get into the building, but you can't get into the unit. And it's like, when I asked what accessibility was, you said that it was. So you cannot really trust somebody's word. You have to go in and do the tours yourself. Just do the work, put in the effort, and there will be something out there for you. Even if you may have to sacrifice one thing in order to be able to have the perfect place or area to live in, then that's what you sometimes have to do. I know I made a lot of sacrifices to live in certain apartment buildings just because I needed a place because of a job or because I needed to, get out of a particular situation. So it is possible. You just got to do the work and have somebody help you in the process. I hope that helped. If anyone has any tips finding an apartment to either make the process expedited and make it a lot faster, please leave a comment below. If anyone has any tips on any programs or resources to help other people with disabilities find their apartment and find something quickly, please leave a comment below. That's all for now. Make sure you're following me on the gram so the next time I post and ask you guys to ask me anything, you can be on the next episode of A Message to My Loves. All right, y'all. Peace.